You've operated different kinds of businesses, so there's obviously had to be, somewhere starting from scratch, learning a business from scratch. And over a period of time, an entrepreneur builds a framework of sorts on how they enter a new business, how they build their leadership team, what's their operating style. I'm very curious on what that is for you. As you evolved as an entrepreneur, what is it today? How do you really operate and learn new businesses and stuff like that?
It's a great question. It actually makes you introspect as well a little bit. I think, generally speaking, our family, Kapil and I, we are very similar in how we operate. My dad, we are very collaborative in nature with our teams. We look at competitive advantages very closely when we try and consider doing anything new and different. To me, that has a very high weightage in decision making. We and that kind of covers everything, that do you have the right skill set, do you have the right plant, do you have the right location, how can one create competitive advantage? I mean, the idea is that if everybody in the trade is making 10 rupees, you want to make 20, and if everybody is losing 10, you want to lose 5, because losing or making sometimes is just beyond your control, right? So to that extent, competitive advantage plays a very high has very high relevance in my decision making process. And I think you cannot there are some decisions which are process driven, and some on some decisions it's just you have to go by your instinct. There is just no other way. So I think you also try and differentiate in that, when you are at a stage of taking a decision, you kind of have to see that is this a decision that can be determined by process, or will this eventually be guided by your instinct? And I think that's an important differentiator to have in your mind, because what can be done with process, you might as well get it done, get it reach to its logical conclusion with process. There's no point exercising instinct there.
The other common challenge that we've heard, a lot of entrepreneurs are not able to fight this battle of being involved day to day, and therefore having the mindset on like very short term versus now thinking long term, thinking 5 years, thinking 10 years. And for that, you need like an operational team that's in place that doesn't bother you with like every single decision. If every single decision comes to you, you're not going to be able to think that far. How have you evolved in this regard, and what's the operating system that you have right now?
It's about finding the right people and empowering them, and eventually you have to trust uh, their abilities, because yeah, you're right, you just can't, it's not possible to look at every decision making. Plus you try and find people who have better skill set than you. So if you're finding your a CFO, he has to be better at numbers than you, right? I mean, it's elementary. And if I can never be I can never have the same skill set as the guy who manages my vineyards. It's just not possible. So you just have to find the best possible people, learn to trust them, because trust comes with time. There's no switch on, switch off button. And once you develop that trust, then you just hope that they have thought it through, and they are taking the right decision.
I'm sorry, I just want to go a little deeper into this because I got curious. You spoke about hiring the right people, hiring people who are smarter than you, but the in India, hiring is not that easy. It gets a lot. It gets very complicated because finding the people, convincing them to join you instead of joining like a Tata or something like that, it becomes quite difficult, especially for the kind of scale of businesses that we run. How have you found, what is the best hiring process that you have seen that has worked for your businesses?
See, uh, there is, I believe that sometimes just paying the highest salary doesn't mean you'll get the highest caliber person. Okay. um, uh, there are, so I think when one hires, there are some basic values that you see which are non-negotiable. Integrity being one. Passion to work, because that you can't make someone learn to be passionate. You can't make someone understand the value of integrity. So some things are non-negotiable. Beyond that, those skill sets, even if they're not up to scratch, you should have the right process and environment for them to get those skill sets. And I think that's what drives uh, hiring the right people.